Now I'm very pleased to introduce today's first demo with Strategy.ai, 3 ways AI is transforming coaching. Andrew Longfern is the founder and CEO of Strategy.ai. We also have Ben and Scott joining us in the chat, sharing resources and answering questions throughout the presentation. So go ahead and hand it over to Andrew now to take us away.
Great. Thank you so much, Jess. It's a pleasure to be here with everybody today. I am just going to share my screen and go from here. Okay, so at a high level, where we play in the AI space is we try to deliver practical AI solutions. So we're not, at Strategy.ai, we're not trying to position ourselves as right out there on the cutting edge. We believe that in order to deliver value, they have to be practical solutions that are capable of delivering value today. What's unique also about us is that over the last 25 years, I've done a lot of work, and the team here has also done a lot of work in talent management. So we work with a lot of different companies in developing coaching programs, talent development programs, like executive leadership programs, as well as change management programs. So we spent a lot of time in the L&D space. But when you combine basically AI, where we have a practical AI solution. I'm not going to spend too much time on our website. I'm just going to give you a quick overview. We believe we've got a number of different solutions available. Today, we're going to talk about mentoring and coaching, but then we also combine our AI capabilities with change management. We believe that an important part about AI, it's not the technology really, it's how can we effectively bring people along so that they feel comfortable using AI to deliver and create the value that AI promises. So that's just a quick overview of who we are. I am going to jump over to a little presentation, just a few slides, really. Oops, sorry about that. So in terms of the AI coaching solution that we offer, we call it Strategic Mentor. And Mentor is designed to provide insights and recommendations to both managers and employees. Many companies will use it directly with employees, but some always prefer to keep a human in the loop. So our AI will generate insights and recommendations. They'll be handed off to the manager. The manager has the ability to edit or review them. And then if they so choose, they will then use those insights and recommendations with employees. And I'll demonstrate some of that for you today. Our platform does not generate information from the internet. So all of the insights that you're going to gather are going to come from your own data, as well as the information content that we provide. And again, I'll show that to you in a minute here. And everything that you're going to see today can be customized. So every customer tends to have a unique situation or set of contact or circumstances. And so we've designed our AI tools to make sure that they're customizable either by us in collaboration with you, or you're welcome to customize them yourself. The information typically that you would provide our mentor would be a competency model. So many companies have competency models. If you have one, great. If you don't, that's fine too. Today, I'll demonstrate basically a version where the mentor does use a competency model. You would also provide us with roles and job descriptions. So many times AI is helpful to have AI understand the kinds of roles that you have and what you're asking your people to do in order to actually provide the proper kind of coaching. It doesn't have to be just job descriptions. If you've got other write-ups, if you've got performance reviews, if you've got other things, we basically take that into account. And then one of the other more helpful things that we would get from you are employee goals and aspirations. So in order to help that employee progress through your organization, we need to understand what it is from their point of view. What do they want to achieve? Do they want to go from a level 1 CSR to level 3? Where do they want to go? Do they want to go from supply chain to manufacturing? Like, what is it that they want to do? 2, we want to know the departmental goals. So rising up from the individual, what are the departmental or sometimes what we call manager goals that people have? And then lastly, we want to understand the company's strategic priorities. And in today's demo, you'll just see really the highest level strategic priorities for the company, but it'll make sense how you can actually integrate some of the other goals as well. Okay, so one thing that I want to highlight before I get right into the hands-on demo is you decide really where the mentoring happens. I'm going to show you sort of the back-end piece that you would normally not see, but I want you to have trust and an understanding of how our mentor actually works. But in terms of actually where the mentoring actually happens, you decide whether it's embedded as part of a digital platform you already have, whether it's SharePoint or an LMS or Workday, wherever. We can integrate into those platforms. You can still use our dashboard, or we can generate the insights and recommendations and email them, whether it be directly to employees or whether they go to the managers, and then the managers can decide what to do with that information. Okay, so in terms of going to a dashboard, you may see it later in this demo, but basically this is kind of what our dashboard looks like. And then of course, we can also email this information to you. Okay, so let's get into the demo itself. I'll just switch over here. And again, what you're going to see here is one of the things that we believe in order to drive the adoption of AI and have you have confidence in it is we try to provide as much transparency as possible. So what I'm going to show you is the back end piece, so you can see how the progress, how the flow, how the logic works. And then along the way, you'll also see the details. So I'm first going to show you the high level flow with very little detail. And then the next iteration, I'm going to show you a lot of information, a lot of detail. But again, the purpose of that is so that you have an understanding of where this information is coming from. So, okay. So this particular mentor, I've designed this one to coach a manager. Okay. So some companies, again, will want an AI mentor to work directly with employees. In this particular case, I've set it up so that it's designed to work with the manager, who would then share the information to employees. Okay, so right now this is sort of like a generic. Everything that you're going to see today is not real personal data, company data. So it's sort of synthetic data. And I've got 4 different roles, and this was originally set up for an insurance company. We'll still pick business systems analyst as the person that we want to mentor. As a manager, I would come here and I would take a look at this and I would say, okay, I've got 3 different options. Again, this isn't necessarily the output that you would see. We would produce the output and it would get sent directly to the manager, but just so that you can understand the flow, I'm going to say, well, let me first help me identify the employee's competency gaps and recommend some classes they can take. Okay, there are 2 other options here and we'll explore them later on. The first thing that we're going to do is basically take that job title of that employee, go find the correct job grade and job level. So some companies, you may not have one, but others do. Then we're going to list the proper competencies for this job level. So whether you're an individual contributor or if you're a senior executive, you have a different set of competencies that are required for you to do your job effectively. And so what AI is doing is it's basically going into the database and pulling that information back out. Then it's going to get the job description for this person. Some organizations have job descriptions, some don't. If they don't, we basically will want to scan all of the other interactions between manager and employee. And then basically we want to prioritize the competencies for this specific job. So depending upon if you're in a sales organization or you're a CSR or your business analyst, even though you might be an individual contributor, the competencies that are appropriate for you to kind of exemplify are different based on your role. And I'm going to show you an example. Again, I'm just giving you the high level flow. So here now we're basically asking AI to go back and confirm my identity with the employees that I'm about to pull up to make sure that they have access. They should have access. And assuming that they do, we're basically going to identify and generate the competencies that this person should be working on. And then consider the role that this person plays in this company. What classes can they take? Okay, so at a very high level, that's sort of the high level flow. Again, I'll go back. And I'll switch this now and I'll actually take us through the detailed version so you can see how this flow actually works. So again, it's business systems analyst. I'm going to identify the competency gaps and identify some classes. Again, it could be other things other than classes. So it went and pulled the job grade of 3 and the level as individual contributor. And the next thing that it does is it basically goes and gets the business systems analyst competencies for this level. Okay. The next thing here, then what it does is it goes and gets the job description for this role. For the business systems analyst, it's going to get the job description. So what I'm showing you are sort of all the inputs that AI then it's going to take all these inputs and then sort of get to the final output. One of the things that you'll want to do is, of course, sometimes companies will not have up-to-date job descriptions. So one of the things that our application does require is that everything that you put in there is fairly up-to-date. It doesn't have to be perfect because we can supplement it with other content from within the company, but it is helpful to have it more up-to-date. Then considering the job description, prioritize the competencies for this level. So we got the general set of competencies for contributor. Then we looked at the job, the actual job description, and then we're reprioritizing the competencies. Because as an employee, what is it that I need to focus on in order to be successful? The idea here is that AI will help you identify and prioritize for your specific role what you should improve on. So this is at least the list of what you should prioritize in terms of competencies. So again, this is the competency. There's a brief description of each one of these, and if you wanted to, you could kind of drill down into what these each really mean. Then what we're going to do now is we're going to pull up this person's most recent performance review. You don't have to use performance reviews, but I'm just giving you a demonstration where if that information was available, it'll be incorporated into the next step. So I'm just showing this to you that, in fact, we're going to go pull this person's performance review, or at least the most recent one. And once we have this knowledge, we then ask AI and we sit there and go, okay, determine which competencies this person is doing well and which one this person needs to work on. So this helps the manager very quickly sort of sync up, well, I gave my employee this performance review, but this is the competency model that my company currently uses. How can I make sense of that? And that's what this step is designed to do. It's designed to help people, really, managers, understand for this specific role, for this specific employee, what is it that they should be working on? So again, this one here is communication skills. This person needs improvement. Number 3, collaboration and inclusion. This person, meets expectations, and so on. There are some cases where maybe the performance review did not include it, so it's not explicitly mentioned. Summary of competency assessment, it basically highlights what needs to be improved, where it meets expectations, or where it's not explicitly mentioned. This is a nice flag. I know it looks like it's a whole, but actually it's a flag to remind the managers to begin to address some of these gaps in their performance reviews, particularly if it's a higher priority competency for this review, for this role. This next step is basically the final. Would be sort of like the final delivery. I just showed you the flow where we took the role, we took the job description, we took the competency model, we took the performance review. We basically combine all of that to identify what are the areas that need improvement, and then some resources that are available to them. Because ultimately what we want to get to is an action step. So the idea here is that the manager would get an email, or would go to their dashboard, or would go to their workday, and for each employee, they would get this type of information. And so if you happen to have a weekly or monthly one-on-one meeting with an employee, you'll be able to basically just quickly reference this and identify and be like, oh yeah, I need to remember to coach Fred on communication skills and problem solving. And so I'm going to give him 2 resources to be able to do that. So that's sort of the end of this particular mentoring process. Again, the idea here is I wanted to show you the overall flow and the process, but ultimately this content, I know it's not presented. This is not the final presentation. Again, it would be emailed to you, or it would be put into your dashboard design the way that you would like it, or it would be put into our dashboard the way that our dashboard typically presents. But at a high level, in a matter of seconds, this process, and this outcome can be accomplished for every employee inside your organization, or whichever employees you select that you would want this information generated for. So it's not something you have to sit here and click, click, click. It'll basically just generate it and provide it to you, whether you want it on a quarterly basis or an annual basis. It's really up to you. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is actually kind of take you through a couple more. This one is help me determine the best way for this employee to align their work activities with the needs of the business. So this is more of a use case where individuals have more latitude in the decision-making in terms of what activities they should be working on in a given week. And so what we're going to do here, so I'll just select this one. I'll just take you through it. the first thing that, again, I'm showing you the back end piece. If I didn't want to show you the back end piece, I can just hide it. But what I'm going to show you is the flow. What we're doing here is we're going to get the strategic priorities for the company. And if I had uploaded departmental as well as personal employee sort of goals and aspirations, they would all be loaded as well. And AI would take into account all of those factors in terms of deciding what should be the next steps in terms of the work that they should do. So what you're seeing here are the priorities of the company. You probably don't need to spend much time looking at the details. And then again, I'm basically taking a look at the job description. So I basically determine which priority this person will be able to impact the most. So sometimes when companies roll out strategy or they have priorities, employees don't necessarily know what they should focus on. So whether this person happens to be a business systems analyst, here's what they should focus on. When somebody else in marketing needs something else and somebody else needs something to focus on. So this isn't designed to help the manager think through really what are the priorities. So they may not agree with this. The idea is that this is a way to very quickly provide a manager with some insights about maybe we ought to reorient the team and focus on, or at least this individual, focus them on this specific priority number one, leveraging data for analytics. It gives you the rationale and it gives you the conclusion. You can go back and challenge it or add additional content, and it may adjust what priority the person should go after. So again, that I'll just give a quick summary. Again, this is sort of a quick view of how AI can help align. If we had departmental goals, it would further sort of refine this. We want to make sure that the departmental goals line up with the overall company goals. And then also the personal goals and aspirations would be used to help sort of identify and focus on, well, what are the things that we should maybe consider working on or develop as an individual to help contribute to the most valuable parts of where the company is going. Okay. The last one here that I wanted to show you is provide me with information on the appropriate metrics this employee should focus on, given their role in the company. So many times when managers, particularly if you're a young manager, you're not necessarily able to articulate what employees should focus on and why. And maybe sometimes you're managing people that are doing a role that you yourself have never done or you've not really mastered. And so what AI is going to do here is it's going to give you both quantitative and qualitative metrics to consider. What it's doing is it's taking a look at the role, it's taking a look at the strategic priorities, and it's taking a look at a few other variables to develop basically these suggestions. So if you've ever done the business analyst role, it'll basically take a look at these metrics. One thing I'm not showing you today is we can also take a look at anybody who's ever done this role before, and we can look at every single performance review. So you can imagine, for example, like a call center, you might have, like insurance companies will have 5,000 or 10,000 call center representatives. We can actually take the very top 5-10% performers, do an analysis of what is it that they look at to drive the metrics, to drive their performance, and then we factor that into this listing. In this particular case, we're looking at AI saying, oh, let's define the requirements and the definition. So there's accuracy rate, traceability, approval rate, communication and conflict resolution. You've got time, you've got a satisfaction score, and so on. It gives you examples of what the target rate should be given your industry. Again, this information is typically provided to the manager. The manager will determine which ones are appropriate because right now this is going to be too many metrics to apply. A more developed individual, mature person doing this role will work their way through these. But if you're a newer person in this role, the manager would probably need to sift this down into 3 or 4 metrics to help the employee focus on just those metrics. Again, the idea here is that AI can help you get 90% of the way there. The idea is that sometimes managers may not even go to this much trouble to try to think about, can we help people be data-based? When they're being fact-based to make decisions, what we want to do is train employees on how to apply facts, how to generate facts, how to think about metrics in their day-to-day work. So as you strive to become a fact-based, decision-based company, you can do that more easily here. Okay, so this is quantitative. We're going to go to qualitative now. So again, AI basically goes and looks at the similar things. It'll look at the job performance. It'll look at the role itself. It'll look at what others have done in that role. It'll look at the goals of the company. It'll look at the goals of the department, and then it will develop these metrics. These are qualitative metrics because in many situations, quantitative is not really the lead metric you want to be looking at. So again, this is for the business systems analyst. It'll generate a list of qualitative metrics. And again, this is a tool that can be used to have a conversation between manager and employee. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch over. This will kick us back out. So we've done this. And let's go back over here. So I'm going to show you kind of the back side of this. Oops, sorry about that. Let me go here. So this is how we build the mentors, and you can customize them. We can customize them on your behalf, or you can customize them. But very simply, what we do is we basically build out the logic of what you would want to accomplish. And so we have both user tests and AI tests. And I won't go too much further into this. I just wanted to give you an understanding that it's very easy for you to customize the experience based on the data that you have and the experience you want to provide to managers as well as employees. Basically, in this flow, we have a number of user tasks. So for example, earlier, you saw that we had the manager select from one of 4 roles. And then we have a branching, and then we basically have an AI task. So we instruct AI what to do and how to do it, and then it will access databases, whether it's job descriptions, competency models, whatever databases that are authenticated to be used with this application. Most commonly, you would upload the information. We wouldn't want to involve IT to try to integrate things. It's probably not worth it initially. So you can kind of free trial this and you can test this out yourself. But this is sort of the back end piece. Again, what you'll eventually want is you would want to just test out the final output, which is something like this. Okay. I'm just going to quickly also go over to another product. So that was what we call Strategic Mentor. We have another product that we call a chatbot that will allow you, for example, if you have a different coaching situation and you're looking to coach on active listening or conflict resolution or emotional intelligence, whatever topic you would want, what we do is we upload that content. We can provide the content, or if you have existing content, you can provide it. And I will demonstrate this for you. But what we do is we provide you with an easy to use interface, and you can access this through what we call a widget. And you would normally put this widget or this chatbot, which is over here in the far right, into a digital application you already use. So if it's SharePoint or an intranet or Workday, an LMS, wherever your employees already are, and if you want to provide them with coaching, whether it's only coaching for the manager or coaching directly with employees, AI is going to be available to them 24/7. So I will show this to you. Where what I've done here is I've just got a SharePoint page. I've embedded a simple coach. There's some some straightforward content around conflict management in here. This information is coming from our content or the content you provide. It does not come from the internet. You don't have to worry about other people training on your data. Our platform is secure. It's private. Again, we have a bias engine and other things that are used to help sift out inappropriate questions, that kind of thing. So what this is designed to do is to help people really just kind of get coaching on the spot, because you may not have the time to be able to coach people always on the fly. Or for example, if I'm a mid-level manager and this afternoon I've got a meeting with an employee where I need to have a hard conversation, what are some tips for coaching conflict, right? What I would do is I would just come here and I would ask questions and hopefully get answers. If I need to drill down, I will drill down. this is what we call the widget. Again, you can, with a simple line of code, it takes about 15 minutes to basically embed this in any of those applications or most digital applications. We will work with your security team so that they're comfortable with the embedding process, but that's not an issue usually. And then the chat bot is something like, let me show you here. So we have a chat bot similar to here. It would just sit in your applications, whether it's SharePoint or Workday or wherever. You can trigger it, and people will ask questions, get answers 24/7. So that's basically what's here. Okay. So again, what I'm presenting to you are two separate products. One is Strategic Mentor, which is where you can actually get coaching on some very specific topics where we rely on information from you about jobs, roles, strategic priorities, your competency model, those kinds of things. You would then apply that mentor and make that data available to the managers within your company, unless you want to go direct to employees. But most commonly, it's delivered to managers. And then the second product was really what we call a chat bot, where you either provide the content to you, or if you've got existing content around whatever it is, active listening, conflict management, we would upload it into a chat bot, and then you would be able to deploy that wherever it is that you would want. Okay, so I've got 5 minutes, which is great, perfect timing. I'm going to stop sharing, and let's see what kinds of questions we've got, or I don't know if you normally take questions from the audience.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew. We have a couple of questions. So can you talk a little bit about the coaching framework underlying the coaching chatbot?
So there are a number of different frameworks that are out there. What we do is, if you already have a coaching framework that you prefer to use, we customize our mentor to align with that, because there are just too many frameworks out there. So we don't sort of pick one and then reside on it. We just know we've worked with so many companies in the past that everybody's got a different approach to it. So we try to customize it to suit your situation.
Great, thank you. Another question. So which LMS does this integrate with?
So there are two ways to do integration. One is what we call an iframe integration. It's an embedding. And if you've ever embedded like a YouTube video into a LMS course, this will embed as well. Option two is we use Zapier, which is a tool that will talk from a technical point of view. Zapier is a tool that will talk to your API. It's got an API, it'll talk to our API, and it'll pass data technically between the different platforms. So those are two ways. Typically, the easiest for your LMS is going to be just using an embedding with an iframe or a JavaScript. We have two different options, actually.
All right, another question. So does one use the AI mentor to identify challenges/talents, and then use the AI chat widget to supplement managers who use coaching as part of their leadership development toolbox?
Great, thank you for that question. So typically you can use the AI mentor. You can use each product individually, separately, and they're standalone. The AI mentor basically is used to help identify gaps and insights, as well as recommendations that managers would use with employees. The chatbot is separate in that it can help in that situation, but it's more designed to deliver known content and answers. It's not customized to a particular individual. So for example, as it relates to conflict management, it will give you a process, for example, to understand conflict, why does it happen, the types of conflict, what you should do about it, the steps you can have. And then as you have more specific details, you can ask the chatbot questions and you can drill down to find specific answers. But it does not contain personal information. Whereas the AI mentor will look at your role and your performance review and other details about you, the conversations you've had with your manager, if you want to provide that information. An AI mentor will give you recommendations or insights, things to consider as you kind of make a plan going forward to how to improve your performance or whatever topic it is that you're talking to your manager about.
Thank you. All right, we had another question come in. So can you talk a little bit about how this tool might work if there is an issue with motivation, or perhaps there might be an outdated worldview for an employee?
So that one's a little bit vague, but if it's a motivational issue, we would provide content around how to get motivated. Or me personally, the way that I would approach this, it depends if your company is willing to go down this road. But essentially, I would take an employee through a series of questions that help them identify their career goals and aspirations. I would cross-reference that against the known data that we have that says, oh, because we can take a look at your data and go, person in your role has progressed over the last 10 years. They've progressed from here to these 5 different places. This is the path that they took. This is the performance level that they needed to achieve. So again, we could try to tie it back in this particular case back to competency levels, and then the experiences that you need to have, as well as what courses, what sign-offs you need to have in order to get there. So in this particular case, when it comes to motivation, it's hard to coach. Like taking motivational content to coach you is difficult. If I can actually show you where you are today in your role and have you share a little bit with AI about where you want to go, we can then use the data that exists to help create a career pathway for that person. One of the other things that we will do is we will actually overlay on top of that the departmental and the business goals, because the landscape is changing quite a bit in the business world, that 3 or 5 years from now, if the company is not going to grow in a particular area, we don't want to convey to the employee that they're going to be able to get there. We're going to kind of close that off early on, because if the strategic goals are we're going to divest in the Southwest, blah, 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 or we're going to grow in the Northeast, whatever the topic is, AI will sort of have all of that as context as it generates recommendations for where an employee can go. Now, in this particular case, the employee is only going to get notified about what's possible and the active steps they can take. That will not necessarily affect their motivation. It really will come back down to them, but we're trying to give them a path to take action in order to become more motivated.
All right. Thank you so much, Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so we are out of time. Thank you so much for everyone for your questions and for your engagement. We will go ahead and take a 15-minute break. Thank you so much to Andrew again and to Strategy AI. And our next demo will begin at 12:45. See you then, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.